Hey everyone, and welcome to the all-in-one Prehistoric Kingdom tutorial. In this easy 5-video tutorial, you are going to learn how to build this in front of us with a wonderful entrance area to my current park. If you want to see how this is built, follow these easy 5 tutorials step by step, and you're going to learn how to build all of these, including some extras here and there. So stick with me if you're interested, and I'm looking forward to showing you how it's done. Alright, episode number 1 of the all-in-one tutorial is gonna cover the basics, and by basics I mean the controls and everything around the landscaping. This is what we're going to cover in the first video. The second video, which is also going to be released today, is going to cover the building mode, and these two are very much hopefully giving you the basis of what you need. But without further ado, let's start with the toggles down here. A little disclaimer, this is solely for the sandbox at this point. You can actually use most of the tips, 99%, in the challenge mode as well, but we are not going to cover the money aspect of things as of now. So let's get started. So to the left hand side, you've got your park management, which again, there's not that much you will need in sandbox mode anyways. You can still see some things, but we are not going to cover this in detail because that's going to take a lot of time, and we're going to make this in a different tutorial. Now, you've got the finances, the research menu, and the animal statistics down here, which is if you're gonna build a realistic sandbox park, at least the statistics down here are interesting for you, but not hyper relevant. If we go further into the center, this is where things get a bit more interesting. Over here to the left hand side, you have the demolition tool, which you can also easily access by pressing the delete key on your keyboard. You've got the fence or enclosure tool. If you click on that one, this is going to open up the menu for the fences and exhibits. As of now, we only have a mini aviary to our hands. There will be following more in the future, but we also have some fences over here, varying in height and style. Now you can see there's a stone, there is glass, there is metal, there is wood, and you can utilize all of them. You're going to place them easily by clicking them, and then you select the space on your map. These are going to be placed as a fence tool from Follow Games, just like City Skylines and so on and so forth. One thing that is very interesting is the overall layout of this window, because that's going to be the same for all of those. So let's cover that and for once here, so we can easily go into the next area. So we've got on the left hand side always the toggles for the different tabs in terms of what kind of content you have layouted down below. By scrolling down in the left menu over here, you've got all your stuff that you need. You can also drag and drop the bar higher or lower, just to your liking, how much it should cover up from your screen. And if you go here, you can obviously switch between the tabs. If you go over here, you've got a little search bar, and if I type in glass, for example, it's going to give you all the glass pieces in this menu, which is pretty handy indeed. I found out that at this point in time, not sure if that's a problem or not, you're basically able to access everything, not only from this menu. If you type in rock, for example, it's going to show you the prefabs and the rocks, even though this is not in this menu, but in this menu actually. But this is a little handy trick if you don't want to use different tabs. You can use the search bar. You can also use your favorites. You can mark something as your favorite. As you can see, I haven't. Let's mark this as a favorite real quick. There you go. And then we click in favorites, and you only have this one in this tab over here. Pretty handy if you have some go-to pieces that you want to utilize. You're gonna find them over here. And to your right hand side, there is the so-called styling box, or the fence toolbox. Actually, this is, I would say it's a toolbox overall. On this little icon over here of this gear, you have all kinds of different settings you can set: angle snap, placement mode, length snap, and so on and so forth. We're going to cover them in the building tutorial in detail, but this is where all the stuff is, and you can find it. Very interesting indeed is most of the times you're going to see some hotkeys in brackets, which is pretty handy indeed to learn them. Now, if you go to this little icon over here of this wonderful wonderful little brush. This is where you can choose colors. In this area over here, unfortunately, most of the fences at this point don't have a color option, but in different tabs for other pieces, you can change the color of various elements as a total element or even with some details. Now, let's go on with the next menu, which is the path menu. And again, as I just said, we can now go a lot quicker through it because you can see the layout is exactly the same. We're just going to go down here real quick. You've got some stone, natural and wooden path to lay them down. Now we go into the next menu, which is the animal care, and the animal care is divided into 3 tabs. As you can see, the housing, where you have some easy beddings and some prefabs nicely sorted down here. You've got a feeding option. There are 2 available at this point, and you've got some enrichment items. All of these pieces, maybe if you're watching this video a little bit later on, maybe in a month or 2 or 3, there will be more in here already because they keep updating. This is early access, so things are going to change, but the main things are going to be covered here. All right, let's go on into the next one, which is the park infrastructure. Again, the same layout. You're going to find the prefabs and the easy modules that you're going to use. This one over here is the animal nursery that you have to put down in order to get animals into your park, especially in challenge mode. One step further is the guest facilities, and this one is again divided into 3 different tabs. You've got the amenities, you've got the different attractions, which is kind of cool. You have a viewing binocular. I love this little piece, by the way. It's really something I wish to have in such a game for ages, and this is finally something in here, which is super cool. And then you've got some benches, bins, and all that kind of park layout stuff that you always wish for. The next up is the modular pieces, and this one has various tabs over here that we can easily go through. This is the walls, this is the roofs, this is building accessories, which is also very handy indeed, awnings, doors, and so on. You've got the structural elements, just like, you know, beams and guiders and stuff like that. Really handy. You've got lighting, different types of light bulbs and so on. You've got props, which are pretty good in terms of making backstage areas. A lot of backstage thingies, which are super nice. And then we also have a lot of different pieces here for I think that's like scenery. We've got some signs, the alphabet, and also some easy signs for the most frequently used things in game. You've got some gardening areas here with some flowers and, you know, easy greenery stuff, garden climbers as they call it. Then you've got some foliage, rocks, and specials just like VFX or simple shapes. Simple shapes are something we are going to utilize in just a second, but before we do so, let's go into the modular prefabs, because this is where you find all of the blueprints that you can easily just use yourself, or you can later on download them. People can exchange them with each other, and also you can save your own blueprints into this list. Very easy stuff. So this is pretty much what you have. And then there's one thing a little bit further off to the right. As you can see, there are sometimes just some little bit of space in between. So you can see this is you know, like a category. Down here, this is the enclosures and pathing. You've got the facilities for guests and park management, building and landscaping, the terraforming. As I said, we are going to go in detail with the landscaping in just a bit. This is the second part of the video, but before we do so, we have to cover one more thing, and that is the basic control when you have a piece selected. And therefore, we're just going to go down. We're going to click on this wonderful rock over here. You can see the rock is sorted in a group of various pieces, easily to see by the outlines that are presented on your screen right now. As you can see, the white ones over here. In order to get into it, you can either press C on your keyboard, or you can just double click on that piece, and then boom, the gridded layout over here will indicate that you are now within the group. Or even more simple, to the top of your screen, you will see that editing group 581. I would recommend to name your groups. If you are that kind of person who can do that, please do it. I'm too stupid. I'm not doing that, but you know. And this is the point where things get a little bit interesting, because now I can tell you to press a specific button in order to do something, but you can change the keybinds, which we're going to talk about in the next tutorial for building way more in detail. But for now, let me just show you what you can do with this piece. Now we have selected this wonderful rock over here. You can click on move the selected piece, and you can see you can move it with your mouse. At this point in time, you can see nothing really happens as soon as I hit something. But over here, we can change certain things, and we can change this, for example. There is an option to stack it on other modular items. So if I click that one, and I'm going to turn off the right one first so you guys can see what happens, you can see I can stack it on top of something, but it will remain in the same orientation. It's just gonna stack on top, but it's not gonna twist, turn, or do anything crazy. But if you click on that one as well, this aligns the object to the collision surface, then it's gonna do this. It's gonna align to the face that you are pointing at with your cursor. This is what you do in here. Now, if you right click, the piece will remain in the position where you left it off, but there's also the option to do the advanced toggle building, which will open this gizmo menu for you. In this gizmo menu, you can either move it along different axes, as you can see over here, you can toggle between, you can rotate the piece, or you can even scale it. And this is one of the major features of that game. You can scale it on all axes, or you can go crazy with either 1 or 2 or 3 or each axis indeed. Now, if you've done that but you are not really happy with your change, you can just press Ctrl Z on your keyboard and it's gonna undo the task. If you think, you know what, this actually was good, in fact, you can press Ctrl and Y and it's gonna remain into what you have done it. So it's basically redo and undo. You're gonna find these options down here as well. As you can see, if you the type of person that always clicks down below, you can do so, but we're gonna cover these things in a bit. Now, as this is done, a little point here. If you click escape, obviously, you're going to go to this menu. In here, you can save the game, load the game, blah, blah, blah. I think this is something not worthy of a tutorial. But if you go to settings, you're going to see down here the controls. And this is where you can do all of your keybinds. Some things are not able to be changed, as you can see, but most of the things can be changed individually by you, which is very, very, very handy, and I'm gonna really explain that in detail in the tutorial for building. I'm not gonna do it now. So before we jump over into the landscaping, let me just go quickly through these missing toggles down here to the bottom right of our screen. Now, as I already presented to you, it's the undo and redo button that you will find there. There is a start and pause time. If we click that, you can see there's a reddish frame appearing. This indicates that the game is paused, and if you click on it again, the game keeps running. Now in here you can see what time of the year it is, which year it is, and how far the day has already passed. Now if you go to this, you can see you can speed up the time. As you can see, the plants are moving quicker, the smoke is appearing quicker, and you're just gonna hit play again, and then, you know, the time goes back to normal speed. Then you've got a weather menu in which you can change the conditions to cloudy. I'm just gonna make this real quick so you can see that the screen turns all the way cloudy. Everything is foggy. Everything looks like a little bit more as if it's going to rain. And, well, you know, let's just make it happen. Things are going to happen rather quickly. There you go. It's gonna start to rain all of a sudden, and things get wet. Things get a lot more rainy indeed, but now the weather changed back to sunny. I didn't want to use the weather. If you unclick this one, the weather icon, you have full control. Unless you don't do this, things are going to make themselves, you know, just gonna kind of make it themselves. But now let's slow down, hit pause real quick and show you the details. It's looking kind of cool. Everything looks kind of wet. You've got some driplets here and there, and everything looks kind of nice indeed. And the rain is pretty nice. It's pretty good looking, but let's make it very sunny indeed again to continue with this tutorial, because all we have now is you can basically hide the interface in order to take some cool screenshots, or you can access the settings menu, which you can obviously also access with escape. On the left hand side, let's go really quickly through these ones. There's the nursery status. We don't have any animals in here, so you don't see anything. You've got the excavation. Everything is obviously open because it's Sandbox. Then you've got the management view, which shows you a couple of things, but as I haven't done anything in here, you can't see anything. This is a subject of a different tutorial. And we've got the help. These two are not available in here because at this point we don't use it. It's a sandbox. But we also have the screenshot mode, which is kind of cool. It gives you access to a way better control over the time of day. You can go crazy with the lighting, as you can see, time of day, and then you can even change the light angle. Something I have been wishing for in other games for ages and still haven't gotten them. In City Skylines at a certain point we got a mod for that, but now having this right here at hand is really handy indeed. And the cool bit is this is not going to be affecting your in-game settings. So if I click escape here, boom, you're back to what you've been playing with. So it's not really making your life too complicated by going back to it. All right, so as promised, we are now already 15 minutes in. We are going to spend the last couple of minutes to show you in detail the terraforming tool. The reason why I included that in here is because it's pretty simple and it's also pretty handy. So you can see this is the map I have already started making down here. This is my Flintstone Valley. If you're going to be, or if you are interested in this series, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to make this our ongoing Prehistoric Kingdom early access series. But now, in order to show you, let's go all the way over here. Now, first of all, we're going to go really quickly through these 6 simple toggles down here. We've got the raise tool, which is pretty much doing what you expect. It's going to raise the terrain. If you are going to use the lower tool, it is doing exactly what you expect. It's going to lower the terrain. Pretty handy, right? Then you've got the level tool, which is basically leveling the terrain to the exact height what you're pressing at. So the cursor is your indicator of the height. So you can do it boom like so, and then you are having different layers in which you're flatten it. Pretty handy indeed if you want to create some terraces and stuff. Really good. Now we also have the erode tool, which is going to create some sharp-edged mountain peaks, which is kind of cool. It's going to give you like this bit more peak look to it. So you can see it's going to create like this wonderful, almost like mountain-shaped spike on top, which is pretty cool. If you don't like it pointy, you can go to the smooth tool, and it's basically smoothing everything out over here. Look at that. And if this is too smooth for you as like a little baby bud, you can make it less smooth by using the roughen tool. And there you go. This is going to make things very rough indeed. I think it's very much self-explanatory at this point, but you can also vary the different amounts of your brush, and this is pretty cool. If you go here and increase all the way the intensity and then you use the smooth tool, it's gonna give you a really nice way of smoothing things out pretty quickly, or of creating nice raised areas very simple. One thing I really do love, I gotta say, is the fact that this tool combined with the vegetation brush is affecting all your vegetation, so you don't have to raise and lower that yourself, because in fact, as you use the brush, these things are not individual pieces. They count as something attached to the terrain, which is pretty handy indeed. Now, obviously, you don't only have the the controls over that. Let me just also do quickly some little mountain marks over here, as you would see them pretty often. Kind of give it a bit of structure, make the size a bit bigger here, just to give it a bit more structure for the moment. And you can see some things at the top go a bit too crazy, and then you can just easily use the smooth tool and get rid of these problems. Boom, done. Pretty good. Now, the next tool, what we're going to quickly talk about, is the water tool. You can see there is a little pond down here. This is calm water, and if you have something existing, you just click in the water and you can drag everything out from there. But no matter where you are, at every height, you can just click and it's going to create a new water bottom for you. Something that is also very interesting is that you have control over the depth of it by this toggle. So it's unlike in other games where you have to dig down like a little hole, or you have to create the depth of the water yourself. Here you just have a simple slider in order to give you different types of depth and stuff. Now, if you use that, and we're going to go all the way to 6 meters deep, you can see in the middle, it's going to create a way deeper thing of water, and you can obviously also increase the size. and there you go. You're gonna have like a little bit of a deep water thing down here, and then you can also create like a little bit of a more shallow area to the sides, and then like a very shallow area to the complete riverside of things. And if you're happy with this, you can remain like that, because be careful, if you smooth out things underwater, that works, but if you go and flatten things, that's gonna make your water disappear, something you don't want. But you can always use the redo and undo feature in order to keep things the way you had them before. But I like the smooth tool for underwater quite a bit, because that's gonna make your height differences a little bit less annoying. You know, that's gonna make your water kind of a lot more realistic looking. There's more options to the water. You have different types of water. This was the calm water. You also have rough water, like this, and you've got the muddy water, as you expected, a bit more muddy looking. In fact, the difference between calm and rough water is most likely the texture, as you can see, and a tiny bit of the coloration. This one is a tiny bit more bluish blue, if you ask me, and that one is a bit more clear, while the muddy water is, surprise, surprise, muddy. Now, of course, there is something missing, and that is the substrate, as they call it. For me personally, that would be the texture, but let's call it substrate, whatever the game wants it to be called. Very interesting indeed is, it may appear as if you only have 4 textures, but you only have 4 textures per category, because down here you can see different biomes. And unlike in most of the games I've played, where the textures are limited to the biome that you're playing in, like in City Skylines, Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, I believe it was also in Theme Park and other games like that, or Tropico. In this game, or even Anno, by the way, in this game, you have access to all of the textures of all biomes. So we've got these 4 over here from the landscaping of the scrubland. So you can see this is the gravel or sand. We've got grass. We've got this sandy stuff over here. What is that? Clay. And we've got rock. Then we have also the wetland stuff, and you know, I'm not going to show you all of them, but what you can already tell is that they all work together. Some of them unfortunately seem to have a little bit of a collision. Some of them merge pretty dang nicely, as you can see over here. Some others have like a little bit of a sharp edge to each other. This is a bit of trial and error, where you have to find out which ones work together well and which have a little bit of an issue. But all over, I gotta say, this is one of the coolest painting tools available, because you can see I used now the tool with a high intensity, but if we drag the intensity down, you can see I can just ever so slightly merge that into each other, and it's going to give you full control of what you do. There you go. This is, by the way, what I meant. Some of them just don't really go nicely together, so you're gonna have to figure out which ones do and which ones don't. So sometimes it's just like a little bit of a trial and error until you get a very nice transition from texture to texture. But oh my god, it looks really fantastic if you do it that way. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to talk about in the first episode. Quite a long episode. It's gonna be definitely the longest of all of our tutorial episodes, because it just covered the basics, and I hope you guys found this interesting. If you did find this interesting and you want to see more of these tutorials, subscribe to the channel. There will be 4 more in this series, as seen in the beginning, and I'm going to be very happy to greet you in the next one. But until then, stay safe, have a good time, and goodbye.